But we're starting off today. We're built around Eshki Dragonclaw. This card is pretty crazy. It's a 4 mana 4/4 Vigilance Trample Ward 1. Can also have haste if you Arena of Glory it. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've cast both a creature and a non-creature spell this turn, you draw a card and you put 2 counters on Dragonclaw. So if you go Mox Amber into Dragonclaw, it's a 6/6. 6/6 has drawn a card and can even attack if you also have Arena of Glory. It's pretty powerful. If you have Fear of Missing Out, you get this trigger twice, which is extra crazy. So I just, because of those synergies, I decided to go a bit more in on like a Delirium sub-theme so I could try to FOMO my Dragonclaw and kill my opponents really quickly. Also playing Wrenn and Six so you can hit that 4th land drop, and also because I think curves well with Mox Amber into the Dragonclaws. I like the Rumble. You can go turn 2 Rumble and then turn 3 Dragonclaw. Let's see, anything else too big? I think being a Wrenn and Six Boseiju deck is also pretty nice at the moment, so we've got a bunch of those in the sideboard, one in the main. Let's get in there. Amulet, I think, just could easily be a lot better in these matchups. Like, if Frog and or Control were really popular, I feel somewhat confident that Control, or the Amulet, could pivot to play like a lot more Caverns, Veil of Summers, these kind of cards, more Cultivator Colossuses, or like... You know, some people... Are they playing the Colossus against... I don't know how that card ever gets cut from the list, but sometimes it gets cut from the list. This hand's really nice. But I always find that dynamic is kind of interesting. That it seems like Titan as an archetype could choose to be a lot better against control builds if they wanted to be, but it just doesn't seem that important that they are, you know. That's true. In an Ugin metagame, it's tough for Frog and Control to be popular. Although, one thing that's really interesting is, I think of all the decks in the format, Amulet is one of the best against Titan. Okay, I didn't find a land to try to... I guess the spawn token just lets me Dragonclaw next turn. I guess I'm going to take a Channeler over these other options. There's a blueback Frogless with Rashaka's Bargain in the trophy dump. That's pretty crazy. Lumra sort of replaced Colossus in some ways. I understand that, but I just feel like the Colossus is, at the very least, very good in like all of the controlling Frog, these kind of matchups, I think. Cast Channeler. I can't cast Channeler. This is a clue token. Maybe we're just memeing on that, but at the very least, I also want to save my Mox Amber for this sequence here. Hopefully just a reader, not a subtletier. Alright, 6/6. Vigilance Trample, Ward 1, draw a card. It's not attack with a Tamiyo. Opponent's probably playing Goryo's, though. Okay, thankfully not just Goryosing me this turn. They mill a Leyline Binding, which they can't get with the Eshki this turn, an Ephemerate, and a Force of Negation. Thankfully, we've got Trample, so if they're just blocking this, it's not going to really be the end of the world. They do choose the Ephemerate. Unfortunately, no reach on this. Yeah, it's nice that they can't Sol... Or I guess they couldn't on that turn to stop you from drawing a card. They could still go land Solitude. Actually, I'll recent list run Colossus over Lumra. Yeah, it's... I just don't really know how Colossus ever gets cut, but I might be missing something. It just feels like it's so often really important. Yeah, I'm going to go block with a Tamiyo. I've got another Tamiyo in the hand. It's not that doing a ton here. They do have an Atraxa to discard, but they don't have Goryos in their hand because they would have Goryos the Atraxa this turn, and they didn't find it off the Archaeologist, so that's kind of comforting. So their hand is Ephemerate, 3 mystery cards. They discard a Hallowed Fountain, so presumably they're going to have another land to play here. Basic Plains for the Ephemerate. So that's a lot of looks at a Goryos, unfortunately. Let's start off with a Rumble, so that we can try to find Arena of Glory for the FOMO and maybe Present Lethal. Which we don't do. I guess we'll take a backup Eshki. And I could play Tamiyo to block the Frog. Or I could play the FOMO. I think I'm just going to play the FOMO. I might hit my land drop. Also, I've got 2 looks at the land drop between this draw and the Eshki draw. All right, so draw a card, 2 counters. Nice. Might be important to save the Bauble for just the ability to have a non-creature spell next turn. I'm gonna go ahead and cast it, but not convinced that this is correct. Well, I guess maybe I could have waited on the Bauble too, since the Ephemerate's gonna clear whatever this card is. All right, so thankfully no Gorios. We have to dodge 4 more looks at Gorios. Tainted Indulgence, so maybe a couple more looks. Not like that we need the extra counters, I guess, because we're getting an extra combat step on our 8/8 Vigilance Trampler. They play a Delta. So maybe just going to cast the Tainted Indulgence looking for Gorios here. Does Eshki trigger twice from FOMO? Yes, it does. Although we don't have our non-creature spell anymore to really pop off with that. It doesn't necessarily seem like we're going to need it. But I put it puts a card on top with the Sewers. They put it on top really quickly, like it is a Gorios. But they can't draw that card with Gorios unless they get rid of my Channeler. Because I'm blocking, dude. Alright. So they're not doing anything. Yeah, let's cast a FOMO. I guess I should not tap the Amber, because that is a bit more versatile here. But I want to get my trigger here. So this is my creature spell. Hopefully find it just a cheap non-creature. Nice. I think a bit better to target the frog because of the existence of Ephemerate. If they discard 3 cards to save it, hard to imagine that ends up being too bad for me. Okay. So not that we got to do it, but the Ashika would have drawn us 2 more cards a turn, gotten 4 more counters, and attacked twice. Obviously, with some help from its FOMO friend. Okay, we're going to bring in the Soul Guide Lantern. Consigns are kind of good against them. Sometimes you just consign the Atraxa trigger, and then they can't do anything. Torpor Orbs, I think, are probably better. Although, yeah, because it's been hard for them to keep the Atraxa into play without the trigger. I think the Orbs are going to be good. I'm going to cut my Tarfires again. I'm going to cut a Wrenn and Six, I think. Anything else? I think the Ragavans are good, but they can get brickwalled by the Falahi Archaeologist. Avails can be good. I don't think we cared that much about their Force of Negations. Feels like I want one of these. Let's play one over a Bauble. Have to mulligan this one. Keeping this, putting back a Tamiyo. I did consider Steel Cutter. I think if I was going to play Steel Cutter with this version, I would want to play Amber and Imri. And so part of the reason I wanted to not do that was to have a little bit more diversity in the decks we're building. But that does certainly seem like a really reasonable way to build a deck. Steel Cutter was quite good yesterday. We have an Is It Steel Cutter deck too that's like... I feel like I'm just kind of wanting to start with that instead, if that makes sense. So they may be like Tainted Indulgence in response, and they might find a Force of Negation. Jath with the 24 months. Thank you. Welcome back. They do discard Atraxa. Now, if they just have Atraxa plus Ephemerate, it's not going to be a particularly easy game to win. By playing in the challenge today? I don't think so. I think I'd rather play a lot of different stuff today instead of a few specific things. Okay, they play a Nile Spellbomb. They consider Metamorphose and Bauble with the Delirium package. Well, we sure do have Mishra's Bauble. Of course, we're playing that card in the stack. I did consider Metamorphose. I decided not to include it. Oh, sorry. For some reason, I thought I could play DRC and Ragavan. Oh, so I could. I had to play the Ragavan first. Sorry about that. Thank you, Max. Okay, they go after my orb, so it seems like we're probably cooked this game anyways. Tarkira's out, Shadow. This is just normal Modern League. So they found the Ephemerate. I'm gonna go to game 3 and get to be on the play. So I'm gonna... Yeah, I don't see like a bunch of counter magic in that pile, so I don't think we're gonna want the Veils. Just fooling off the Eshki and Questing Druid, not quite there yet. Yeah, I haven't... The Druid is so slow. It was good when it first came out, but the format has just become so fast. I haven't really been wanting Questing Druid in any of my builds. I would love to see a grindier format, but hard to say. Okay, so we have no Graveyard Hate. We do have like a potentially beautiful FOMO into Dragonclaw turn. I even think I'm gonna try to save the Bauble for this. I need to get Steam Vents so I have all my colors. Yeah, I think you could do an Eshki Fanatic build. Obviously, this is early. You could play Green Sun Zenith also. This is just very much first draft, first day. Another copy of FOMO. So discarding the other FOMO kind of guarantees that I'm gonna get Delirium. But I think I'm gonna discard the Unholy Heat instead so that I can try to play to... So I can try to play to just actually killing my opponent on turn 4. So they really... Oh, they surveil and attracts into the yard. A little bit unlucky. They just have it. The Gorios were kind of cooked. Alright, let's go ahead and cast a FOMO, discard Unholy Heat. Obviously, this is a nice draw. If they have Gorios, they don't get to keep the attracts around either, which is nice. I've been looking at Hollowmurk Siege. There's just like almost no chance that kind of card, I think, finds success in the current format is the problem. It's like we're just not living in that kind of modern format. This format is fast. Even a deck like this is kind of like pretty borderline, despite having access to some pretty fast kills. This format is fast, and it's like what's defining the format is not any kind of thing that I think that Hollowmurk Siege does well. You said you did not see my vision for Bet Skimmer. Archaeologist, Ewit, Savine's Wreck got me thinking Skimmer is just an Ewit plus Chant Loop with Teferi. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, if I'm going to play Skimmer, I'm going to have 4 Relic of Progenitus in my deck, and that's why I don't see the vision, because that seems kind of antithetical to how I would build the deck. You know what I mean? Okay. So they get to draw a card here. If you know, as always, if you have the vision, go for it. But again, it seems kind of off from how I'm thinking about it. Okay, unfortunately, we don't get to have Delirium here. We flew too close to the sun. But we do get to go Eshki Bauble. Yeah, I want to do Eshki Winter Night Stories Demi Lich. There's just a lot to get to, and it's going to take some time. Oh, sorry, I didn't attack with the FOMO. I'm playing kind of bad today, too. Could have slept a bit better. So they should be at 6. We'll see if that ends up mattering that much. What about Catch Your Flicker, Show a Skirmish Rhino? So what's very funny to me about that is a lot of people keep talking about Abzan Flicker with Skirmish Rhino when there's a better 3-mana Abzan card in the set to Flicker. There's a better card to Flicker in the set with the same casting cost that nobody seems to be talking about. It's the one that like Thought-Knot Sears them. That card is not only really important to Flicker, that card is really important. Like that kind of effect is good in this metagame. I was thinking about format speed this morning. I was wondering, at this rate of creep, how long until Wizards prints Forcible into Modern? So I think Forcible would almost certainly exacerbate issues in decks like Belcher than help things. I also think what's still so shocking to me about like, you know, doing like what I do as a career and whatever, and like talking about cards, there's just still basically is never any vision for people printing new good cards instead of old broken ones. It always shocks me how how little vision there ever is for printing a new card into Modern. Okay, so I've already drawn one card, or sorry, two cards. So I should play the Tamiyo so I could flip it here, I think. Now, if I attack with this and they block, then I deal them 4 and they gain 4. So that seems to be a bit of a wash. Actually, suppose I keep this on top, since that is creature and non-creature spell for me this next turn. It's also not a bad one to have anyways. I find it very hard to believe Severance Priest with the opponent getting a new body and not affecting the board state can be a playable modern card. Brother, it affects the board state if you target your Eldrazi, Amulet, or Storm opponent's hand. But it's green sunnable. It's better with Ephemerate than Felia, but you can put this card into play, Ephemerate in response. You get to take 2 cards from them without giving them a single creature. But these Ketchamos decks are fucking slow and they don't interact with their linear opponents very well, and this card helps with that. Isn't that card bad because they get a new body? I really just got I don't think it's that interesting. I think it's worse with Felia. I agree, but it's still important with Felia sometimes. But the fact that you can green sun for it is pretty cool too. So I'm hoping to play some Severance Priest tomorrow or Friday. Obviously, a lot to get to. Might not get to it. Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it, Squeak. Vanilla creatures don't do fucking much in this format. In your Felia, Ketchamos, Solitude deck, you know. Just not that relevant. So they can't Ephemerate this Solitude, which is good. They get to gain a bunch of life. And then they're at 4. Now, are they going to attack a Planeswalker with the Ketchamos? Murktide is flying vanilla. It's not vanilla. It's not. Flying is not vanilla. Murktide also has text that lets it grow additionally. Let's be serious. Okay, I'm gonna shuffle away this Tamiyo. Okay, gonna keep this so we can try to get Delirium. It's kind of the best card to see. But also, it's the difference between a 2-mana 8/8 flyer and like a creature from Severance Priest should be pretty clearly very different. Okay, so if we get Delirium, this is 2 in the air plus 1, which is not quite lethal. So 4, 5, 6, 7. So keep the Ragavan. If we get Delirium, we have lethal. The Channeler is more damage. More damage, I've heard sometimes, is more better. Oh, I just noticed they targeted the... They attacked the Wrenn. I thought they attacked the Tamiyo. We might as well cast this again. We could find another Ragavan or another Channeler. We got all these Surveils. Alright, that was on my list. Alright, let's keep this. Bit weird. Is Lord of Atlantis closest to vanilla that sees modern play? I don't know. That creature's also got abilities, but and also I don't know if I would necessarily even say it sees modern play. Maybe a little bit these days. I feel like Tamiyo is 0-2 vanilla. Okay, well, it's an 0-3, and I think it's clear that no one knows what we're talking about. So let's move on. All right, Rumble into probably Grist here. I feel like it's clear no one knows what the term vanilla means. Okay, they grab the land instead of the Grist, and then they Cauldron the Grist. Pretty good turn 2. Samantha with the 62 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Yeah, vanilla. Yeah, Tamiyo maybe has the most text on any one drop ever, and it's being described as a vanilla creature. So yeah, maybe maybe we don't know what we're talking about. Exactly. Another FOMO. I think I'll discard one here for type's sake. Although I'm not feeling very optimistic about this game. Minmite. Yes, Minmite Ornithopter for playable vanilla creatures. There we go. Yeah, I know. No one ever wants to talk about the new cards. EA so-called a fun game. I mean, I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but I'm enjoying this game. I'm enjoying a game against Yogg here. I think this could be a fun matchup, even if we lose game one. I think we'll just pack it into game two here. Tarmogoyf is not a modern playable card. Sorry for the cold hard truth. I think let's play one more Boseiju over a forest. It's kind of weird. 3, 4, 5. I'm only down to 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 6 fetchables at that point. It's kind of low. Could have fetch land instead. Alright, give this one an honest try. But it's also an Multi 6 here. I want to say to put in Grudge. That's kind of why I like playing the Boseijus instead. Because they're a bit more incidental, but... Yeah, I also don't kind of hate the first Grudge. Since Cauldron is very good. Was there consideration for Plaza of Heroes in this list, or do you think Fetch Package is better? Yeah, I do think that a fetch land package is almost definitely better than like Plaza of Heroes. Like we have, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I'm just missed that it casts basically everything. It doesn't cast Rumble, FOMO, Tarfire, Heat, but it does cast casts kind of all the hard stuff. It's also not a land type for Arena of Glory, and Arena of Glory I think is a pretty important card here. So having like the fetch land stuff is also better for your Delirium. It's better for Arena, but it's an interesting suggestion. I didn't really even think we could be that close to playing that kind of card. Okay, I would have loved to cast this turn. Fecundity in your Brood Scout Glaring Flesh Striker list instead of Keen Sense. I tried it last night. It actually seemed okay, but you probably need to up Ballistas or main deck Walker. I think that is a pretty cool idea. Someone else suggested this idea recently too. And it's not something I've really looked too closely at. And of course, with there being a new set release, I doubt I'll look closely at it anytime soon. But I do think it is a cool idea. So do they have the Bowmaster? They do. So I actually want to keep this Bauble so I can Ashika next turn. And I think I'll trade Ragavan for an Orc army here because it is literally not getting any better. Love to top deck an Arena of Glory. Opponent reading. Vigilance, Trample, Ward 1. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've cast both a creature spell and a non-creature spell, put 2 counters on Eshki Dragonclaw and draw a card. Alright, so I guess we're set up for a creature and non-creature spell next turn. Spells like Endurance. Yeah, I think so. It's not Court of Calling. Not that they could cast it anyways. Mr. Tasty, the gifted sub, thank you so much. Maybe trading the Ragavan was bad since they get the token back. Well, they just get to kill the Ragavan with the Bowmaster trigger, so it's basically they have a 1/1 instead of a 2/2 now. So it's I think it was just almost definitely the correct trade. I wish we could board the Ragavans out here. Okay, unfortunately they have the Grist. Yeah, I thought about including Flytrap. It seemed a little tight. Definitely could go that direction. Alright, so what's the plan here? I think I kind of like Tamiyo Channeler this turn. Let them plus this once. Plan to rumble into a land to Unholy Heat the Endurance and Channeler attack the Grist. And, of course, they can't have anything good this turn. Like, our opponent is having to tap an extra mana on their turns. Like, this does slow them down. I think I'm very happy to take the board 1 on my creatures. I always love when you play Tamiyo and they just Thoughtseize you. It feels so good. Interesting draw. I think so. Okay. Blood Crypt Thoughtseize. They could be a Goryo's deck. They could be Creativity. They're not very likely to be a mid-rangey deck, so I think I am going to play this Ragavan. So I guess they are like Jun Saga. I guess they could be still a Goryo's build. They could be a Monument build. Okay, they're a probably Monument could just be a normal-ish cookbook deck. I think it's hard to say no to a Rumble on this board here. I actually really like just having Ward 1 on these kind of cards just in general. I think it's I think the space is nice. I feel kind of priced into taking the Dragonclaw, although it's a little weird. Where I also want to play let's play the FOMO. FOMO's just a bit too good with the Ragavan to like turn my nose up and just wanting to Dragonclaw instead. Now, I could want to yeah, I'll play this, and then I think we might as well cast the cookbook. Yeah, sure. Hard to really imagine it comes up, but I mean they could Goryo's me and I could sack extra permanents maybe. Okay, Archon. So if they persist me, we're not in the worst shape. We just get to Unholy Heat, double Ragavan them. Maybe flip the Tamiyo. I guess we can also like 4 mana get something back maybe. Alright, so it's definitely a little risky to heat this construct, but for 2 Ragavan connections, I think we're gonna do it. And then we also had the option to play the Channeler first, but I think with all the extra mana and 2 Ragavan hits, I think I just want to have all my mana available to me instead of having a Surveil 1. I haven't tried any of the harmonized cards yet. There's just there is so much to get to, y'all. I know y'all are really thirsty, which is good, but it's gonna take a long time to get to everything. Like I don't there's like no way we get to every card I want to play this week, which is kind of crazy to say. That's almost never the case. A little less good post-combat. They didn't persist me last turn, so I would be a little bit surprised if they did it this turn. Could be my Asthma persist list. I saw someone fight with it yesterday. Cool, yeah, I did like this list a lot. I thought it was good. They could Emperor of Bones me, maybe? Yes. Okay, so this is a 12-point life swing. I guess we're going to be discarding the Channeler to Cookbook. But then I'm going to sack my Tamiyo and my Ragavan. They might just be in bad shape. They're going to be at 11. I guess not super bad shape. If we can somehow trigger Eshki this turn, that'd obviously be really nice. We'd have to draw Rumble, or Clue tokens would have to be really kind to us. Okay, Clue tokens could be kind to us. And they can't Fatal Push me here, which is nice. So let's see if we draw a Tamiyo or a Ragavan or a FOMO. We draw another Mox Amber. So we might as well sack another Clue and get another look at a Tamiyo or Ragavan or Channeler. So like I said, that was also on the list earlier. Which we don't find. So we're going to hold this for non-creature spell next turn, I guess. We were a mana short, I suppose, of just picking something up from the graveyard. Yeah, I don't want to attack. Don't want to attack here, especially because we can just we can trigger the Eshki next turn. Cracking Cookbook was an option. No, we would have needed one more mana, right? Because yeah, we would. I think we didn't have 4, and we drew Amber for turn. So I don't think that we had enough mana to crack Cookbook, play Amber, and play a 1-drop. If we did, it would have been pretty game winning. Okay, we're dead to my opponent having another way to discard a card here. Now I have exiled a lot of their cookbooks, although this is another way for them to discard a card. Right, let's bring in the Ancient Grudge for sure. Gonna bring in the Veil of Summers, I think. I have thought there Thoughtseize. It also stops the Archon ETB, but it's like a little less important, I guess. I think I want some Boseijus as well. I think I'm just gonna be in on Boseiju over Arena of Glory. Let's try that. We haven't done that yet. I think we want to make one more cut. Maybe a Bauble, maybe a Wrenn and Six. You could have cracked food in response. I didn't have 2 mana there. You're wrong. Oh, I guess I could have cracked food on my upkeep. That's true. Blue Rogue with the 2 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Alright, I'm going to keep this and hope they've got Thoughtseize in their hand. Orb. You could play Orb. I feel like the Veils kind of do a similar thing that Orb does. Nice. Alright, so we'll see if we want to fetch or not. Another copy of FOMO on top. The Wrenn wouldn't be bad here, but we got plenty of lands. I think we just want Delirium. It's an interesting pickup. I'm going to play this Emperor of Bones, I think. I'm also going to Boseiju the Saga. Okay, keep a card on top. Okay, alright, and then you concede, nice. Shadow Veil of Summer. It's going to be worse on the draw, though. Yeah, I think I'm going to trim 1 on the draw here. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot to bring in these stupid lanterns. I totally thought I brought them in. I need to drink more water. I clearly didn't get enough sleep or something today. Ragavan is pretty good against them, I think. I'm going to mulligan. Go to 5. Now we are kind of forced to keep a one-lander anyways. I think I need to get Stomping Ground. Like, the colors are more important. I want to be able to just rip the land and Wrenn and Six and unmulligan to 5. Okay, thankfully they don't have Asmo here. Now we get to hit all of our land drops. Do I want another copy of Unholy Heat? I think I'm going to graveyard this. Probably a conversation. See if they have a monument for this turn. No monument. What is their hand? Let's start off with a Bauble. Get ready to rumble. Don't think I want the Amber. Could definitely keep the Amber, but it seems fine not to. Again, the Ragavan not going to do a lot against this construct army that's coming down. I was hoping to hit a Wear Tear and maybe Mill of Boseiju. Maybe a little greedy. Got plenty of red mana. Think it could be something. I guess maybe should I crack a Bauble on their turn for Archon discards? I guess that it's so hard to imagine that they Archon me twice and that I could win anyways, even if they did, so let's not. Do you think... Oh, it's upkeep. Crack. Murktide, X Capricious Hellraiser, Mox Jasper. I mean, the thing is, in Murktide or Hellraiser decks, like, those are your payoffs usually, and so the fact that your Mox doesn't help you cast your payoffs is pretty awkward. Okay, so they cast a Monument this turn. We have a lot of answers to the Monument. Like, I think Mox Jasper is really just going to be a Magna combo deck. I don't think it's going to... It's hard to imagine there's another home for it. It's possible. Pretty good Mold 6 is Mold 5. Okay. I was worried this was an Asmo. It's just a Shadow Spear. So they're making me lose 3 life. They're drawing an Archon of Cruelty. Changeling, Insect Tribe with Mox Champer, ramping a turn 2 Grist. Well, I mean, that's the exact deck I'm describing, isn't it? Okay, I will be chumping. Looting on top. So if they have a Persist, they can loot away that Archon. I guess we should draw our cards off Bauble before we Unholy Heat, so we have a little bit better info. Okay, so that gives me insulation against the Persisted Archon, which is really important. We flip the Tamiyo, which is also important. Some might say mysterious and important. We can go Rumble and Lantern. It's not a bad one. I think I'm going to dig a little bit deeper here. Okay, so we'll pick up FOMO, and then we'll also pick up a Boseiju this turn. Can maybe double Boseiju next turn. How do you win against combo? Depends on the combo. Also, my opponent is currently playing combo. Maybe they don't know that. They are playing our Monument build. Is Mox Jasper with Stormscale a bad idea? I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? Where it doesn't help you cast this 6-drop. So it's almost... It feels like it's going to be a Darksteel Relic a lot. Like, it seems very difficult to help this cast your big card. They do discard the Archon of Cruelty, but we found the Lantern. The Street Wraith would blow up versus your Heat if they held it. Well, we could have Wrenn and Six pinged. Okay, so they have an Asmo, which is gonna be very good here. They can't kill both of my channelers at least. I might ultimate this Wrenn and Six because there's a good chance I'm just gonna like Boseiju Monuments, minus Tamiyo on Unholy Heat, heat the Asmo, cast FOMO. We'll see what we draw, I guess. We draw a Tamiyo. I like having one bolt and Wrenn and Six decks for emblem purposes. I won't spur my opponent for 21 with Wrenn and Six Retrace. We have Tarfires. I think for the purposes of Wrenn and Six Ultimates, which are very few and far between these days, we could probably get away without it. It's going to put me down to 4 here. That was a risky auto yield with 2 treasures up. Did you know it opposing hand? I don't believe I just auto yielded. Did I? I also built their deck, and there's nothing they can have for whatever that's worth. But I don't also believe I don't believe I auto yielded. Don't want to crack the lantern for the oval chase. I think it could be correct too. They put a Thoughtseize in their graveyard. Yeah, they could have just hardcasted an Archon here. But then I could maybe ultimate the Wrenn and Six. Crack Lantern. I think I'm just waiting for the Persist to go on the stack to do that. So they are hardcasting the Archon. I'm going to need this on this Boseiju. This is more valuable than the FOMO because of our ability to... I guess I just sacked this Tamiyo. Retrace Unholy Heat. It's been so long since I've ultimated a Wrenn and Six. This is pretty cool. Graveyard that. Oh, sorry. Probably should have kept that since it's could be a lot of different things. So this stops you from dying to a monument? Okay, maybe it's right to... I guess it's not right. I think in response to this cookbook we'll sack. You need Marty Bruises or go on Goblin Bombardment. I mean, the Alesha I think would be the better card for that build, and you know that's a card that I never really ended up playing anyways. I mean, okay, they have looting. If they find Archon Persist here, good for them. But they only have 2 Archons left. They do find another Daredevil. They discard a cookbook also. They do have a lot of food tokens, and they also have the Molten Collapse. I think we'll kill one of these, especially with the Daredevil in the yard. I'm happy that they're killing my Channeler and not my Tamiyo, because just like card advantage is so valuable on this board. Lantern also seems good enough to keep here. It basically exiles the Daredevil and replaces itself. Although my opponent could also, I guess they could have sacked this cookbook to get back Daredevil, which they still could do. Are there any plans to do a version of the Cookbook Monument Randomer deck that includes Frog? I mean, the plans at the moment are build trickier decks, but that doesn't sound bad. Is it possible the best version of this deck is one without Eshki? As in a deck that this is a good deck, but there's a better version of Temur aggro that runs most of the same cards and something of Eshki. I mean, maybe you could play something like Flytrap in this Delirium Shell, but at the very least, we need to determine how good Eshki is before we start to... I'm a lot more interested in determining how good Eshki is than I am in trying to rebuild the deck without it during set release week. Yeah, probably just important to get this down, so start chewing through these clue tokens. They've got no cards in their hand. Pretty fun game. Got Completionist ++ a Blotcher. Very nice. Good, big achievement. Probably saving Ancient Grudge for a Construct here. Oh, no. Okay, they don't have any cards in their hand to discard. Let's go upkeep Grudge the Monument, because this Monument must die. Keep this on top because it lets me answer the Urza Saga with a retraced Unholy Heat. Oh yeah, they didn't flashback the looting. And nor did I sack the lantern for the looting. The looting seems to have been maybe a little lost to history here, I guess. I think I'm just gonna graveyard this. We only have 20 cards left in our deck, and any land is a better pickup. Not that we have that many lands left, I suppose, either. So one thing that's kind of cool here is that my opponent could discard a card to make their construct a 7/7, but then they have to sack a food, otherwise they're dead to my channeler. Although I guess because of the Shadow Spear equipped, this can survive an Unholy Heat. So we have drawn a Dragonclaw. Although we can't non-creature spell also here. I'm going to sack this first. If I draw Mox Amber, then the Dragonclaw is going to get cast. Draw FOMO. So this flips Tamiyo. Let's go ahead and... Okay, they sack their food token. They sack another food token. Oh, sorry, they made a food token. Wait. For some reason, I thought they had 4 mana available. They only had 2. Okay, never mind. So we're gonna cast the FOMO, which will flip the Tamiyo, but I think we're cooked here. We have to like find Boseiju now. I think I discard this. Okay, so now I have to Boseiju in response to the Tamiyo flip, while there's still a legendary creature in play. They're 1 mana short of a hardcast Archon. Your turn. They flashback the looting. Also nice that even through 2 food sacks, they're dead because we have the Ragavan. Wasn't FOMO lethal. I don't have an Arena of Glory in play. Also, if they block the FOMO, they get to gain like 7. I also cast the FOMO this turn, so I don't even know like what you wanted me to do instead. But it seems like we're in good shape. Oh, I boarded out my Arena of Glories, so I guess we can't find Arena to go crazy with the Shiki here. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. It felt a bit weird with the Maybe we should take the Wrenn and Six. No, we'll just take the Boseiju, just have Veil up here. All right. Good match. I like that card. It's there kind of simply there's so many cards that are out there that card would usually be something we'd be testing like today, but like there's a chance we don't get to that card for like 2 weeks. It's just so much to do. So could be a few different decks. Could be Boros, could be Orzhov, could be Frog even, could be Goryo's. Okay, Solitude Pitch Ketramos. Seems to be Orzhov. See if they have another Solitude, another white card, and an Ephemerate. Could you explain why you chose to exclude Tarmo on this list? Well, welcome to twitch.tv/AspiringSpike. Welcome to 2025. Tarmogoyf is not a playable modern card. Funny enough, if I was going to play another green creature in this deck, I would play Omnivorous Flytrap. That sounds weird to say. Why did you make me say that? But it is true. I would choose to play Omnivorous Flytrap. They choose Solitude over Wisp, which is interesting instead. Tarmogoyf actually hasn't been really a playable modern card in this format for years at this point. Sorry to say. All right, see if they have the Land Wisp. And I know this about Omnivorous Flytrap because I tested an Omnivorous Flytrap deck with Tarmogoyf, and Flytrap was way better. Although you probably play more Arena of Glories. Well, I sure would have loved for them to have played something for me to Unholy Heat, but I'm okay. Just getting on the board real hard here. What if you spent 200 on Goyfs a decade ago? Man, I remember when my play group first spent their first $200 on Tarmogoyfs. We felt great. It was awesome. We were so excited to finally have one Tarmogoyf in our play group. What were we going to do with that Tarmogoyf? Nothing, of course. You needed 4. Don't think there's anything. I guess they could go Bowmaster, then we Heat, maybe. Anything in combat that we would really want here. So I already have artifacts, so not that the Bauble or this Amber will be very helpful. I guess I'm cracking this on their upkeep. Would I revisit Flytrap sometime? I mean, I consider you could play it in this shell for sure. Any builds for Dragonologist with Murktide? I'm not super likely to play those two cards together, funny enough, but you could. All right, let's bubble them first, I guess, so we have a little bit more info about what they're going to do next turn. But I think we'll just Heat this. So this I could get Delirium now, but I think it's a bit better to keep that on top and get Delirium after we cast it, and maybe get something else good to cast. We could also we could potentially like draw a land for turn and then rumble into Eshki and then draw a card. Good old Temur versus Black-White. Fun matchup. Emperor of Bones. So they may think that this is going to keep me off of Delirium, but it's pretty unlikely with Rumble and double DRC that we are delirious no longer. And we did draw the land, so Eshki would be online here. So no Eshki. No Eshki, although that is Delirium. Yeah, it's crazy that like $200 would get you one Tarmogoyf in like 2014 or 2013. It's like I don't know if any card legal. Oh, there she is. I don't know if any card legal in Modern right now costs that much. Maybe, but this is also like pre-inflation too, which is just like the fact that those were 2014 prices is really funny. What are the opposite of stonks? The current stocks. I think stocks has had its meaning inverted a little bit recently. Opal's close. Okay. Okay, so they can Solitude my Eshki maybe. Although I'll take it. If it means I just get in. They're also I guess they're not dead. They can chump block the FOMO. Alright, so we're going to bring in the orbs again. Ragavan's not so bad against Orzhov unless they are starting to play a bunch of Bowmasters I'm not aware of. I don't think I want the... I guess I want like one Veil. Let's go down 1 Ragavan, 1 Bauble, 1 FOMO. And... So it's kind of an interesting hand where we have the ability to go Ragavan, Amber, Channeler, but then we don't get the Surveil for the second land. But I think this is probably going to be better. Oh, imagine pest control here. Not quite that unlucky today. Boseiju not worth. You want to board in Boseiju against Orzhov? What for? Does it Overlords? Orzhov, the slowest deck in Modern. Well, I mean, they don't have a push. I think we'll just graveyard this. Your turn. This is our turn 2. We've cast 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spells. Getting Wrath Disguise, though. Alright, Wrenn and Six, you got some work to do. Maybe I should have played around that and helped the Tamiyo. Okay, we'll take the Dragonclaw. Still need a non-creature spell for next turn, I guess. Might ultimate this Wrenn and Six. Stash for the 32 months. Thank you. Welcome back. I did trim it Bauble. Have the Orzhov Blink decks fallen out of favor? They definitely dipped a bit after being really, really popular post Ketchermos's release. I think that I kind of feel like I've learned to play against them, and they just feel very beatable. I also feel like there's a lot of room for like deck building still, and like it's also a deck where I wouldn't really want to be playing it right now because I want to figure out how to build it post the Dragonstorm shakeup, because it feels like Dragonstorm will end up shaking things up a lot. But I imagine it still lands as a solid Modern deck. Okay, interesting. Perfect. Any way for me to get an Arena of Glory here? It doesn't look like I can. Yeah, Blink is very bad into Eldrazi and Titan. Although it's better against Titan than it is Eldrazi, I think. So to kill my FOMO, I miss out on having that card in play any longer, I fear. I played against any Ugins today? Not today. Played against them once yesterday. Played with them a bunch yesterday. We're gonna play with more Ugin today, I think. Although I think we're gonna play the Is It Steelcutter deck next. Obviously, like this is always how set release days are. I'm like, I want to play this today, and I want to play that today. I want to play this, and we're 2 hours in, and we're still on Temur Dragonclaw. But it's okay. It's good to take our time. And let's get a 4-1 prediction. Temur midrange feels good to play. I'm not sure. I did think about Lotho recently, but I guess I can't remember what that context was. I think on the blind, I'm just gonna go for the Tamiyo Flippy Whippy. Blue black is good in the Titan. It kind of depends on the blue black configuration. Like yes, if you have a bunch of Harbingers. Oh, or gets my friend here. My friend Karna. Okay, dead Tamiyo. Yeah, I agree that you could turn this into a Steelcutter deck if you wanted to. Am I talking about the Ketchermos version of Black-White? Yeah, that's the stock build of Black-White, of course. Like, of course I'm talking about the stock build of Black-White instead of the way more fringe Recruiter Vial build, but I agree that build is slightly better, but like one thing that keeps frustrating me about the Titan, like people talking about the Titan matchup in general, is people keep going like, oh, the Titan matchup is good. We have these 3 mana cards, and like it's just so frustrating because like if you lose the die roll, those 3 mana cards are just straight up like not in play. You know what I mean? I might keep a Tamiyo here. Okay, Force of Negation to kill my Channeler. I think I might still want to keep this, but there's some better options, I'm sure. Yeah, let's take the Dragonclaw. Maybe try to surveil into a non-creature spell for next turn. They pitch Preordain, so still has the Frog. Interesting to attack with the Bowmaster and not the token. Maybe they think I'm going to trigger the Eshki, which is fair. We're not going to trigger it this turn. I think I might as well attack here. Obviously, it's not very good. Do you still want the draws of Dragonclaw with Bowmaster plus Ragavan in play? Yeah, if I would take the draw here. It's not that the Ragavan's doing much on this board anyways. We need cards. Holy Heat would be sweet. We'd get to go Eshki, tap the Amber, Unholy Heat the Frog. Flies the Frog. I wasn't blocking anyways, but the opponent doesn't know that. Taking 3 down to 13. Surveils. Graveyard's Island. Instead I draw Fear of Missing Out, so we're going to play the Eshki this turn, and then could maybe get some stuff going if we draw a non-creature in the next 2 cards. Fortunately, enough cards in hand to make me not have a good block here. Does discard a Watery Grave, hits me for 3 down to 10, 2 cards in hand. Down to 12 life over there. Come on, non-creature spell. I don't have another Surveil land, unfortunately. I probably should have a second one. I was worried with the 18 land count of playing 2. Counterspelled. Alright, to game 2 we go. Need to draw some Unholy Heats in this matchup, I think. I think we're still just going to do the same. In Veils, out Tarfires. Submit button clicked, even though I wish I could board out Ragavan. Maybe there's a way to configure the sideboard. You can get some of those out of there. Is Tarfire not better than Monkey? I mean, Tarfire is, I think, very bad against them. Ragavan is very good on the play, at least. I think we can keep this. Like, I think Tarfire is a worse card than Ragavan, but neither are particularly good. Yeah, I mean, it does kill Bowmaster, but I don't know. It doesn't really do anything besides that. A legend would be really nice if we could turn 3 the Eshki. Perfect. Alright, opponent. I give you permission to play a frog. They're thinking about it, it seems. Main phase is Bowmaster, but this is also not really much of a problem because we just get to do this. Thank you, Active Fitness Gamer, for the raid. We should be able to crack this Bauble since the Rumble is going to be our non-creature spell for next turn. In Kethis, why is there a Promise in the board? You want to board it in as like an alternate win con in the slower, more controlling matchups. I think I was overboarding it in, but that was the theory at least. Yeah, we held the Amber for exactly this so we can get the Eshki trigger. Subtlety on top is a good one to know about, but obviously we've already got our 4-drop in play, so we can't be feeling too bad here. Alright, I'm going to use the restroom real quick. Alright, so Bauble trigger, Bowmaster trigger. Opponent misses their land drop, and then we find a creature. Although this creature does trigger Bowmaster. Get ready to rumble. Does it seem a little awkward if Eshki dies to Fatal Push? Maybe there's removal spells popular. Well, it does have Ward 1, and you can sometimes get a card the turn it comes down. I'll agree that it's a little awkward. I think I'm going to take a backup copy here. Maybe I should have used the spawn token.
What's up? It's me, your friend, Aspiring Spike.
So we do get to flip the Tamiyo here. I'm going to go ahead and sack the clue. It's maybe a bit painful. Seems okay. And what I'm going to do here is I think I'm just going to play around Fatal Push and just not attack. If it's Dismember, that's pretty bad for me. Okay, it is Dismember, but Eshki is just too big. Too big to be Dismembered. Okay, so now opponent could Fatal Push. No Fatal Push. Plays a Frog instead, so we're clear for attacking here. We don't have a non-creature spell at the moment, but there we go. So we do have Delirium, can play this. Opponent has a Subtlety. Don't really mind if this gets Subtletied. The Wrenn is a lot more likely to get Subtlety because it saves their Bowmaster. I guess my opponent could double block with Frog and the Orc Army. Although if they Subtlety this Wrenn and Six, they can't do that. Because then they'll have... I guess this would be 6... I guess 6 plus 4 if they discard their entire hand to trade for the 10 power Eshki. Yogg was the matchup we lost to this league, I believe. Wrenn can be Subtlety. Subtlety can hit Planeswalkers. So I can graveyard this, and if they Subtlety the Wrenn and Six, I can put this on top, and then I can go Wrenn and Six and haste this. Alright, so ping here. Maybe opponent missed this part of this turn. Can't imagine there's anything to be done about it at this point, though. Draw a card, get 2 counters. It's an interesting draw. So just a chump block instead. Alright, gotta be feeling pretty damn good with this Veil of Summer in hand. I'm gonna hold the Ragavan for maybe a non-creature spellcast here. Kind of irrelevant Nile Spellbomb. So decides not to draw a card, not enough mana. Flies the Frog. I'm not dead. Gonna have to discard at least 1 card to deal any damage because of the Tamiyo Plus. Goes after the Wrenn and Six. Discards a Preordain. Discards a Subtlety that we knew about. Wrenn and Six dead. Yeah, a lot of keywords here. None of them are reach, though. It does not draw any card that allows them to continue, although with the Veil of Summer there wasn't probably anything. Alright, I'm gonna play one Tarfire over one Ragavan. Hoping to 4-1 against my friend Karna. Quick take, is Eshki performing better as the 4-mana game soloing tank than classic ones like Omnath? I think the card plays pretty differently from Omnath, but she's performing well. I think she seems to be a powerful modern 4-drop so far, without really feeling like we understand everything about the card. I think we can say that at least. Okay, runs on a Mold to 6 on the play. Gonna get a Steam Vents here. I feel like it's 4-mana Basim. Well, it's 4-mana Basim, but it's also a 6/6 Trampler with Ward 1 and Vigilance, you know? You could Arena of Glory it sometimes. And to me, that sounds kind of worth it. Basim might be stronger. No, I haven't played any of the Prowess builds yet. Thank you, Piano, for the 52. Yeah, I remember Soul of Windgrace. I was thinking about Soul of Windgrace with Arena of Glory and Green Sun Zenith recently. Nothing really came of that thought, but still thinking about it, I guess. I've played against Karna a bunch in paper, and he's definitely a thinker. Alright, resolved. Maybe a Subtlety in the hand over there. Okay, opponent has a Frog. They'd have to discard 3 cards to kill my Tamiyo. I think I'm okay with that. Since there's nothing in the graveyard, it'd have to be 3 cards. Because we suspect our opponent has a Subtlety, I think we want to lead on the Ragavan here. This mana base feels so painful. I feels like a very normal 3-color mana base. I don't know what to tell you. maybe 3-color mana bases are a bit too painful for Modern these days, but it feels very normal. This card's a Nile Spellbomb. Which one of the Ugin decks felt the best? We only played the colorless Ugin deck and the mono green. I thought the colorless one was a bit better. I'm gonna play the turns one, hopefully after the Steel Cutter League if we have time. I'm gonna try to have time. Any Unholy Heats? Just Misty Rainforest all the way down. Stinks. Okay, let's go. No attacks, planning to eat my Channeler with Psychic Frog. Unholy Heat. Fear of missing out. There was not a single Unholy Heat to be found, unfortunately. Does not eat the Channeler. Not hungry. Don't have a basic island, so I think I'm doing this turn. Maybe another Thoughtseize. Okay, Fatal Push on a Channeler. Attacks the Tamiyo, -1 counter. Would have to discard last card and fly the frog to kill the Tamiyo here. This Orc Army's a 4/4. Left back to block the Ragavan. Dead Tamiyo, new card for our opponent. This card's Fatal Push, which I guess is a kind of a dub for us. Alright, well, we really got to find Unholy Heat, so let's keep looking. We have a pretty good ratio of Unholy Heats in the deck. We have 4 out of 35. I'll definitely add another Surveil land if next time we play this deck. Again, I was a bit unsure with the low land count. Oh, sorry, it's already a 5/6. I guess Heat doesn't even... Oh, no, and we found it. Sorry, I thought it was a 4/5. Not that it seems like we really had a avenue to victory. This was still the best top deck. Okay, well, I don't want to keep a Mox Amber. Feels like I gotta chump block the frog. I think they're gonna take this one down. Some Murktide. I'll pack it into a Murktide. GG's. Okay, so 3-2. I think, you know, the important thing is, does Dragonclaw feel like a playable modern card? I think it does. There's a lot of different ways you can build this version. You don't have to be as Delirium focused as I am. You could play Mox Opal. You could play Steel Cutter also. I feel like losing to Frog twice is definitely not a good place to be for this kind of archetype, because this kind of archetype needs to be good against Frog for whatever that's worth. So just keep that in mind. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. So I want to play another Steel Cutter build. We're going to play the Is It version. We played the board.